Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Star Family Wisdom Podcast. I'm Sinéad and I'm so glad to be here with you today. Star Family Wisdom is a paradigm shifting podcast, community, and online school for your spiritual and cosmic evolution while we're on our own journeys as well. And on this podcast, we share our journeys with you, as well as the wisdom and knowledge of others in our field, by sharing conversations, ideas, and information that are going to inspire you and support you on this journey of being human. We explore ancient clues about our untold human story, real-life supernatural experiences, lost knowledge from the stars, and also spiritual wisdom that helps you to transform your life for the better. So while we love all things woo and magic and mindset, we also love science and real spirituality, health and wellness, and definitely extraterrestrial. And through these conversations, we want to explore how all of these topics inform the evolution of our human experience. So things get a little bit far out here on Star Family Wisdom sometimes, but we want to ground you in some real science, some really cutting edge, forward thinking science and practical tools that you can use towards your journey to help yourself evolve as a human being. And the information that we share are things that we use ourselves. So book talks are one of the things that we really love to do. We love reading, we love good books, and there's such a wealth of valuable information out there. It's just incredible. So this book today is called The Psychic Witch. It's got a subtitle, A Metaphysical Guide to Meditation, Magic, and Manifestation. The author is Mat Auryn. And Mat is a very highly trained, highly skilled witch. And he's also a psychic. Those things are not exclusive. They are actually quite in tandem with each other. And that's one of the things that he talks about in his book. He breaks down a lot of the stereotypes about witches. We know that there are lots of stereotypes and some stigmas about witches, right? Whereas witches are actually real. They do exist in our world as a form of discipline that involves working with nature and with metaphysics, as well as psychic abilities and innate intuitive abilities that we really all have. So Mat Auryn talks about those things, and he helps us understand that witchcraft is not done by some weird old crone out in the forest cackling over a cauldron of frogs' legs. It's something that's much deeper than that. And he wants to share that wisdom and that understanding with everyone. He doesn't feel like witchcraft is something that should be kept within the coven, so to speak. And he also does talk about in this book how there's a bit of gatekeeping in the witchcraft community, which he thinks is unfortunate. He believes that this information should be shared with everyone because he believes that everyone has the ability to tap into their psychic and intuitive senses. So I just want to give you a sense of who he is, first of all. Again, this is the book, Psychic Witch. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. The art inside is absolutely gorgeous. He's designed the book really beautifully. So Mat Auryn is a witch, a professional psychic, and an occult teacher. He has been drawn to the occult and the metaphysical since an early age. He started reading books when he was 8 years old on witchcraft. So obviously it was quite a natural, intuitive thing for him to go towards that knowledge. He is a high priest in Sacred Fire's tradition of witchcraft, which was founded by Devin Hunter. And he's also studied with a variety of other teachers and other traditions, such as the Temple of Witchcraft tradition, the Cabot tradition, Black Rose witchcraft, the sorcery of Hecate, and more. And he's a devotee of the covenant of Hecate. So all of that might sound like it doesn't make any sense to you whatsoever. Many people do not know that there are these very established schools of witchcraft. And so he doesn't really go into that in the book, but you can look them up and find out where they are, what they're about. They really are quite interesting. They take their discipline very seriously. And so he is somebody who trained at these schools because he believed that their approach held such integrity that he really wanted to train under the teachers who were very grounded in their wisdom of witchcraft. He also runs the blog For Puck's Sake, love that title, on Patheos Pagan. And he's a content creator for Modern Witch. He has a column in Witches and Pagans magazine and Horns magazine. And he's been featured in all kinds of things, radio shows, podcasts, magazines. He's really seen as being an expert in his field, and he brings a wonderful attitude and mindset to what he talks about. Very grounded, very open, curious, friendly. You know, he really is somebody who is not holding this knowledge close to his chest. He wants to share it with everyone. He wants people to understand that this knowledge and wisdom is very accessible. So he has done an amazing job of putting himself out in the community, not just as a leader and a wisdom keeper, but also someone who is a mentor, a leader, who's very supportive of others, who's very encouraging of others. And so he actually won as the very first recipient of the Most Supportive Witch Award, like that title also, which was presented by Witchway magazine, because he's so widely known in the community for being someone that you can go to for help, for support, you know, on your journey of learning. So in the book, just as a very quick rundown, it gives you, it's such an incredible book. I mean, it's very highly respected in the community of witchcraft specifically, but also in the spiritual community, because he doesn't only make it about being a witch, he makes it about, again, psychic ability, intuitive ability, which we all have. But this book has an excellent reputation. Not only is it very, very well written, very easy to read, it's accessible to anyone at any level of learning. So you could be a complete newbie and you can read this book and you can understand what he's talking about. He explains it beautifully. He gives wonderful examples. He explains terms that you hear a lot about, or you hear them mentioned in conversations about witches or witchcraft, but they're not always explained. So he really helps to ground you, you know, in the vocabulary, the vernacular, and also the fundamental understandings of what witchcraft is. He makes those very accessible in the book. He explains them so well. And then he uses that foundation to help you build your knowledge and understanding as he takes you through the book. So he gives you tips, practices, and meditations that you can use to unlock your psychic ability and elevate your witchcraft if you're already practicing. There are over 90 exercises that he gives you in the book to do. And when I checked out the reviews of the book and people's experiences of it, that was one of the top things that they mentioned, was that the activities are so extensive, and that they are very well explained, that they're simple, and that they are also challenging at the same time. And people have really felt the results. They've really felt like they are better able to tap into their psychic and intuitive abilities as a result of doing these exercises. So people have been commenting a lot on how effective his guidance is and his knowledge is. So the book is considered to be groundbreaking because of its approach. It's not just academic, it's really bringing the reader in and supporting the reader in gaining more understanding and more depth of knowledge and wisdom on this topic, regardless of what level they're already at. So he also talks about how witchcraft and psychism are two sides of the same coin, essentially. They're not different. They have differences, but they are essentially part of the same thing, and they complement each other and they strengthen each other. So he talks about in the book, for example, how he's met many witches who are not very psychic, and he's met lots of psychics who don't know how to work with witchcraft, and yet they will say that they do, right? So he really comes across as someone who says that to become the best witch that you can be, the most powerful, empowered, balanced witch that you can be, then you need to be nurturing your intuitive psychic side and your practicing witchcraft side. You need to be doing both in tandem with each other, because they complement each other so well and create a holistic experience for the practitioner. And Psychic Witch also provides everything that you need to not only master the perception and manipulation of energy, he's very good at explaining that, but also teaches you how to perform magic anywhere and at any time. And of course, that sounds hokey, right? If you're not used to listening to conversations about witchcraft or magic, that might sound a little bit Harry Potter. You know, anywhere at any time, you can just point your wand and go poof, make something happen. Not quite like that. It's much more subtle. And so one of the things that I personally appreciate very much about this book is how, again, he makes it so accessible and so grounded and so practical. And he helps us understand that magic really is everywhere, and energy is everywhere, because everything is made up of energy, and that we simply have to know how to utilize it. And that's more accessible to us than we believe. So he really does a beautiful, beautiful job of emphasizing that continuously throughout the book, which I loved. And I just want to give you as a touch point a few of the titles of the chapters so you can get a sense of what the content is like. First, one chapter is called The Power and the Sight, which is an explanation of psychic ability. And I really love that, because often people who are writing about psychic ability or including it in a book that they're writing, they just kind of assume that the reader already knows what that is. But psychic ability is quite a deep concept. It's not something that's just, oh, I see, you know, I see a woman in red on a hill, da da da. It requires real depth and awareness of the psyche and of how to use the psychic abilities, the third eye, or the witch's eye, as he calls it. So he talks about that. And he also has a chapter called Meditation and Relaxation. This is about having an open-minded attitude, how to relax the mind and how to relax the body, how to be present in the body, which is very important if you're going to practice witchcraft or psychic abilities. You need to be able to connect with your body, because sensing what's going on in your body while you're practicing metaphysics or magic, whatever you want to call it, that's very important. You have to be able to feel what your body is telling you. The body is a very powerful tool. So Mat Auryn talks about that. And he talks about how meditation is a very important tool for anyone who's a spiritual practitioner of any kind. I fully support that, having experienced meditation as a very effective methodology myself. I would say that, you know, the fact that he emphasizes that throughout the book is really, really wonderful. It's not often in this modern world that we find moments to just settle and be and breathe and connect with our mind, connect with our body. So he really emphasizes that as not only a tool for just wellness, but a tool to tap into your power. And he's got a chapter called Tuning In, Important Information about Grounding, Energetic Stability, and more. So I love this as well, because also a lot of people talk about, you know, utilizing your energy and utilizing your intuition, but not how to ground yourself in it and not how to protect yourself as well, because our energy is all interconnected with each other. We're interconnected with nature, with the cosmos. We're receiving a lot of energy all the time that we're not necessarily aware of. So he talks about how it's very important to become aware of not only what you're putting out, but also what you need taking in, what you may be taking in without even realizing it. And there's another chapter called Extrasensory Perception, which is a really wonderful introduction to the clairs, if you know what I mean by that. Clairsentience, clairaudience, all the clairs, all the sort of intuitive or psychic abilities and the names for them on different levels. He talks about those, does a beautiful job of explaining what each one of them is and defining them and giving examples. And he talks a lot as well, I really love this, about terrestrial energy, working with Mother Earth. This is a very big part of being a witch. You can't really be a witch without having a connection with nature, with Mother Earth, and with the spirits and energy of the Mother Earth plane. So he talks quite a lot about that and how crucial that is. And that's really what being a witch is actually about. Being a witch is really about working with nature, with metaphysics, with the natural energies and forces that exist in nature, in our natural world, in the planet, in us. And he talks also about off-planet, celestial energies, so planetary correspondences, right? He talks about how the planets affect us, how we affect them, how everything, again, is interconnected. We are not just a little bubble, Earth, you know, floating isolated around in the universe. We are connected to everything else around us because, including in the cosmos, including in the galaxy, the universe, because of energy, because everything is made up of energy and vibration, and that does not have boundaries, it travels. So he talks about how it's important to have a sense of the celestial bodies and what's going on up there as well. So while he doesn't really get into astrology per se, he is giving credence to the very, very, very ancient tradition of astrology by talking about the fact that our connection with the planets that are around us are very important, maybe as important in some ways as our connection to our own Earth that we stand on every day. And he's got another chapter called Psychic Spells and Magic Tricks. Now that is so much fun to read. You know, it's, again, might sound a little hokey, but he does such a wonderful job of keeping you grounded. So, you know, it's not tricks and magic like you would see in Harry Potter. It's more like exercises and things that you can practice, things that you can try out to, as a process, a part of the process of developing your psychic ability. And it's subtle, you know, it doesn't involve rabbits coming out of hats and that kind of thing. It's much more subtle. It's much more about having a sense of energy and metaphysics around you and how to utilize those in ways that maybe the people around you wouldn't even notice. So that's a wonderful chapter as well. So that kind of gives you a sense of what some of the content is in the book. And so going into a little bit more depth about it, he details his perception on the metaphysical structure of the human energetic bodies, which I love. He talks about the physical body, he talks about the energetic body, and again, how we in our individual experience are still connecting with the cosmology of the universe and the psychic senses that exist, not only in ourselves, but in other people as well. So that's one of the things I enjoyed as well. He talks about how we often have interactions with each other psychically that we don't even know we're having. And so if you try to practice the tips and the tools, the exercises that he gives you in this book to develop more awareness of when that's happening, it's quite startling to realize when you and another person may be actually reading each other's minds. Telepathy is a natural thing that comes naturally to humans, just like it comes naturally to animals. And so he kind of alludes to that by talking about the psychic ability we all have and how that connects directly to metaphysics and to our energy bodies, which I think was fascinating. He did a beautiful job of illustrating it, of course. He's just known for that. He's known for being a really excellent communicator, and it shows very much in his writing in the book. And as he goes through each clairsense, again, he's describing what it is, and he gives you exercises to help you attune to each one. So if you're someone who's already clairsentient and you want to become stronger in that sense, in that ability, he gives you exercises that you can use to do that. And again, people who have reviewed the book and talked about it online have over and over again, I saw reviews and comments about how effective those exercises are and how people really felt the results grow over time. He also talks about the importance of energetic protection. I was mentioning that a minute ago, and self-care. So first he talks about clearing and tuning into your state of altered consciousness, which of course is encouraged by a meditative practice of meditation. And then at the end of your protection, self-care routine or practice, you follow that by closing down and grounding once things are complete. So you open up the space by clearing and tuning into your state of altered consciousness, and then you close it down at the end and ground yourself. So he helps you sort of go through the whole process of how to do that in a, again, very accessible, clearly explained way. And the later chapters of the book are really something. They're probably my favorite part. He draws correlations between the steps of magical work, of successful magical working, to the energetic layers of reality that exist within the auric field. And so that's kind of a mouthful, right? But he explains it so well. I mean, it really is wonderful how he takes such huge concepts that have been around for thousands of years and breaks them down in a way that is still enriching and deep, but accessible and easily understandable and practicable and practical. So the book is not very big, right? But it's such a wealth of knowledge. So in the last chapters, he's creating connections between successful magic and the energetic layers of reality that exist within the auric field. And this is a theory that exists within yoga and Ayurvedic practice as well. So if you're somebody who is a deep yoga practitioner or an Ayurvedic practitioner, you might have heard of that before, and that would give you a little bit of a foundation towards what he's talking about here. And he talks about, again, not exactly astrology, but astrological resonance or orbital resonance, which is really what I was mentioning earlier, you know, our sort of vibration in cohesion with the planetary systems, and how that is interrelated, and how it can feed our energetic field if we allow it to, if we gain awareness of it, which was very interesting to read about. I wasn't quite clear on that before I read his book. So that was a wonderful point to discover. And he pays a lot of attention to linguistics as well, which I like because, again, a lot of people speak about witchcraft or about psychic ability as if the audience already understands a lot of the terms, but many people don't. And it really is important to know what the vocabulary is and understand the words, because it enriches your understanding of what you're reading and the depth of your ability to interpret what is being given to you in information. So he examines the root meanings of words that we throw around every day, very common words that we use, that shed a deeper significance on the evolution of our language and how intangible, ethereal concepts are still accessible to us, but are very difficult to describe. So while he talks about the importance of language and vocabulary, understanding it well, thoroughly, and using language properly, he also talks about how some of it is a bit ineffable, and that it's really about feeling and sensing and experiencing, and it's very difficult to describe. But he does a beautiful job of describing it all the same. So his presentation is just it's really enjoyable. It's like he's bringing you into his own practice, even though he's just, he's at a level up, way up here. He's so clearly a warm, caring mentor and teacher. And so he's walking us through all these quite large concepts and also grounding us in the concepts and the information as well, and bringing them together so effectively that you feel by the end of the book like you really have learned things that you can actually use in your everyday life to support yourself in your practice. So he talks about, he does a little bit of a presentation of multidimensional manifestation, which again sounds like quite a huge concept. But because we live in a multidimensional reality, that is a fact. It has been proven by physics at this point. He addresses that. He talks about how this really is our reality. Our reality is multidimensional, and we need to understand that in order to become better spiritual practitioners of any kind. So his presentation on that was able to really open up my understanding of magical working and spellcraft in a way that other books that I've read have not done. And so I was very aware of that. I felt like there was a kind of window in my mind opening up. And I had this feeling of, that wonderful feeling that you get when you learn something new that excites you. I really felt that. And so that's another reason I appreciate his book. And it's a reason why his book is held up as such an example of, it's held aloft as really the book, the authority on holistic witchcraft. So there's so many reasons to read this amazing book. He talks about he lists the 7 steps of manifestation. He really does walk you through everything. He doesn't just throw it at you and expect you to kind of do additional homework yourself. He teaches so well. So he lists the 7 steps of manifestation, which correspond to the various energetic dimensions of reality, and talks about how to align them with our energy and our desire in each realm. So that was really amazing to read about and to also practice. I'm still working on it. But wow, I mean, it's incredible what it reveals to you as you go deeper through these levels and you practice these different activities he's giving you for specific purposes, such as manifestation in correspondence with these energetic multi-dimensions. That doesn't sound very practical, does it? But he does an amazing job of making it practical for us. So it really got me excited to, build my own practice. It helped me generate all kinds of ideas about what I wanted to do and how I could personalize my practice to fit what it is that I'm trying to create for myself. So he also talks about that. He talks about how there's no one way to do things. And I really love that. I very firmly believe that myself. There is no one way, and anyone who tells you this is the one and only way to become powerful, to become happy, I would question that. I would look around a little more and not put all your eggs in one basket. And Matt is essentially saying the same thing. He's saying that it really is about what works for us. So while he's giving all these tools and tips and strategies, he's not saying you must do all of these if you want to become a witch. He's saying, here's some wonderful exercises and knowledge and understanding for you. Use it as you need to. Use it in the way that feels best for you. So the combination of those two approaches just felt so open and flexible to me. It really got me excited about how to individualize my own style, my own practice. So again, it's, he's including these very big concepts, but also really grounding ones. So anyone, if you're a beginner, if you've never read anything about witchcraft before, you can open this book and you can understand what he's talking about. And not only that, he says that he's here to help in his introduction. He says, I'm here to help. And he wants to have people reach out to him so that he can reach back and support them, which I thought was really incredible. So at the very beginning, before I go any further, there's a quotation that he includes that I'd like to read at this point. And he included it as paying homage or paying respect to a former teacher that he had who passed away. Her name was Rabin Gramassi. Some of you may have heard of her. She's incredibly well known in the field and very highly respected. She passed away in 2019, and this book came out in 2020. If the art of witchcraft can be reduced to one aspect, it would be the achieving of altered states of consciousness. On a deeper level, we can add trance induced by whatever means and psychic development. Such states of consciousness allow the witch not only to perceive things behind their veneer, but also to reshape reality in an experiential sense. And so Rabin Gramassi said that in her book, The Witch's Craft, The Roots of Witchcraft and Magical Transformation. And that's exactly what we're talking about right now, how these states of altered consciousness allow you to explore in all these different realms of yourself and also of the reality that is around us. So you can come in as a beginner and get an introduction to that concept and build up to it just within this one book. Or you could be somebody who's already a practitioner who wants to deepen their practice, and you can do so because there's so much that he offers in this book to help you do that. It's really filled with amazing concepts that are just waiting to be explored further. It's quite something. It's also, I feel, the missing piece to magic and spellcraft that I've been searching for. A lot of witch books or books about witches are they tend to be kind of the same thing. This is what I've found, where it's a very surface level description of how to be a witch or what witches are. He brings so much integrity to this approach. It really helped to unify my sense of personal energy with the wider cosmology of the world. There's nothing surface about this book. It's fundamental, but it's very deep as well, and very enriching. That's my personal experience of it.
At Star Family Wisdom, we're passionate about helping you become a conscious creator of your reality. Manifestation is absolutely a real thing, but you need the right tools and practices to become a master of manifestation. That's why we've curated a selection of tools that will help you step into your power and harness the creative energy of the universe. Grab our Masters of Manifestation journal to begin the process of writing your intentions into existence, or use our 400 affirmations and mantras and hypnosis recordings to reprogram your mind for success and abundance. And in our Masters of Manifestation course, you get access to over 25 video lessons along with a full toolkit that includes meditations, affirmations, a life vision workbook, a downloadable manifestation journal, limiting beliefs exercises, and quantum journeys to help you connect with your soul. And to help you get started, follow the links in the show notes to access the Masters of Manifestation course or any of our other manifestation tools, and use the code WELCOME at checkout to receive 25% off your first purchase.
So I love that he really talks about, again, how we can utilize our personal energy with the wider cosmology of the world and of the universe. And in the process teaches you how to harmonize and sync up with the energies that are present around us all the time. So I really love that as well. You know, that's one of the reasons that the activities, the 9B activities and practices he gives you to do are so helpful, because you can practice them at any time. You can practice them in your car while you're driving to work, if you're able to be mindful enough in the moment. You can practice it on the subway. You can practice it, you know, sitting on the ground in a park. And so he really teaches you how to bring in these ideas into your life, how to integrate them into your daily life in a really simple but deep way. So the book is not directed to one certain belief system or practice, which makes it really great for anyone and everyone who wants to read it. It mainly aids your everyday life in connecting on a deeper level and creating results that we want. So that is the thing that I probably appreciate most about the book. I think it's wonderful when there's a book out there that gives you wisdom and knowledge that you can use, but requires a huge amount of your time. That's not so easy, right? To practice, especially if you're a busy, full-time working person. Maybe you've got kids or you've got dogs or whatever it is. You have a lot of responsibility in your life. You have an aging parent. You have someone who depends on you. There's not always time to, follow a program. So he doesn't create a program. He has all these individual exercises, and that you can integrate them into your daily life whenever you feel like you're able. And that makes you feel like you're taking small steps forward, but you're building towards something, and you're practicing along the way in a way that is really inspiring. It's really inspiring what comes of these practices. Yeah, you have to experience it for yourself. So from the very first page of the book, the readers are asked to begin with a clean slate. He's asking you to come in with a cleared mind, to kind of get rid of any pre-existing ideas or expectations that you may have of what witches are, what witchcraft is, what the book might be about. And as you turn each page, you're challenged to dispose of your pre-existing blockages to psychic ability. I'm going to say that again. As you turn each page, literally it feels like that, you are challenged continuously to dispose of the pre-existing blockages to your psychic ability. He's really helping you helping all of us break down this kind of field of resistance or fear or apprehension about things that are different, that we have not allowed to come in because we are under this influence of so much pressure to be so-called normal and to exist in a so-called normal way. And that disconnects us from our psychic abilities, from our intuitive abilities, because we're becoming so outward focused. We see these examples of how we're supposed to be living externally, and we think we have to be those things rather than focusing on what's inside, being with ourselves and listening to our individual being about what we need. So he's asking you to try to do that, to go back to who you really are by shedding these layers of disbelief or expectation or whatever they might be about your own psychic abilities. And so he emphasizing throughout the book that everyone is psychic. And if you read this book, I really believe that, and you practice the activities and you follow his guidance, you can discover that you yourself are psychic, even if you feel like it's nonsense, because it's inherent in all of us. It is part of our, I don't like the word birthright exactly, but it's part of our sort of natural state of being as a human being. We all have these innate abilities. So Psychic Witch really explores the relationship between psychic ability and magic, and helps you to interweave them into your life to create a strong foundation for accessing the full potential of your mind, body, and spirit. It really feels like a very holistic book and a very holistic approach. And Mat Auryn is famous for that. He's famous for being very open, being very holistic, very complete in his approach to supporting others, in his approach to practice, in his approach to teaching. So he's revealing a lot of his own most closely guarded tips and secrets and practices, as well as meditations, so that other people can master the perception and manipulation of energy that he knows how to do. And again, over 90 exercises, and also inner tools that you can use to perform magic anywhere at any time. And as a bonus, actually, there's a lot of other authors and works that are mentioned and footnoted that create a whole library of resources that you can check out. He does a beautiful job of really giving respect to other teachers and other schools of thought in witchcraft, and how he believes that this gatekeeping, as he puts it, that occurs in the witchcraft community, where people kind of guard their school or their knowledge, and they want to protect it. They feel like they have to do that to keep it from becoming eroded. He doesn't believe in that. He believes in sharing. So he believes in sharing information about all these different schools, about what he thinks is great about each one, about what you can do, you know, to follow your own path and to create your own individual practice. And it's just widely known to be the best book on the subject. And you know, I've read a few books over the years, not as many as some, but enough to know that this book is definitely a step above the rest. The content, the language, the approach, it's just a beautiful, beautiful book. And he's breaking down the process of how to type into your psychic potential. So it's like easy, bite-sized chunks of information that don't feel superficial at all. They feel very deep, and they're leading you along this path towards greater understanding. So this is the last thing I'm going to leave you with here, is that he incorporates science into this as well. He incorporates the scientific understanding of brainwave states, the pineal gland as the third eye, or the witch's eye, the mind's eye, and the function of neuroplasticity to metaphysical wisdom and experience. So he's connecting all these different things, right? The brainwave states, the pineal gland and what that does, the function of neuroplasticity, and metaphysical wisdom and experience. So this is a guy who really knows what he's talking about. This is not the kind of book that you're going to leave on your coffee table. This is a book that you want to put in your, you know, your special library that you keep beside your bed, you know, the books that you treasure the most. This is a really, really special book. It is so rich with knowledge. So he goes very deeply into science, into metaphysics, into astrological resonance, you know, into psychic ability, intuition. He doesn't go a lot into the chakra system. He avoids the chakra system, which is something that a majority of psychic development and witchcraft books actually rely on. Most of them seem to include the chakra system. He avoids that. I don't think it's because he dislikes or doesn't believe in the chakra system. It's just that the chakra system talks about the energy centers in our body, right? The flow of energy in our body, and where certain energy and certain attributes and psychic or psychological, physical, energetic attributes are housed in our physical and energetic bodies. And because he's kind of talking about that anyway in a variety of different ways, that is my sense about why he's avoiding chakras. But he doesn't say to not use them as part of your practice. So if you're someone who's really into the chakra system, I am personally, then it's absolutely usable as well. And so the style of the book, just to wrap it up, is very easy to read, very accessible, beautifully written, such a warm, supportive tone in his writing. He's clearly somebody who cares very much about sharing his information and really cares about supporting people in the community. He wants to support us by creating this book. So this book came out in 2020. He made it very clear from the start that his goal in writing this book is to help readers understand that we all have psychic abilities to some extent, and how to work those psychic abilities into something useful and powerful that adds value and meaning to our lives and helps us feel more connected with ourselves, with our inner wisdom, with that of the earth, with that of cosmology. And so, you know, it's a book that helps us come back to more of what makes us human, I feel, you know, the things that are inherently a part of who we are that we're not really able to express in this modern day in life as very easily or very often. So he is definitely alternative. I mean, obviously he's a witch, but he's somebody who, you know, it brings such a grounded, warm, welcoming presence, and is so wise, so well-trained, so well-read, that you feel like you trust him. You know, you trust his voice as you're reading the book. By the time you get to the end of it, you feel like you've learned a huge amount that you can actually use. And he really touches on things that are important for anyone in any form of spiritual practice, right? Such as an understanding of who we are, what makes us tick, you know, how to listen to ourselves, our bodies, our minds, how to listen to nature. That's something that you can do regardless of what your practice or your path is. So this is a beautiful, beautiful book. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. There are beautiful illustrations inside. They're very clear, they're very unfettered. He is just amazing. I cannot recommend this book highly enough. And actually, he's got a second one that's coming out in October of 2022, which I've already got on back order, that looks really fantastic and more of the same, but even deeper and broader in his approach. So Mat Auryn, The Psychic Witch, A Metaphysical Guide to Meditation, Magic, and Manifestation. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. Absolutely outstanding book. I hope that you enjoyed this review and that it wasn't too dry, and that, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We're always happy to hear from you. We really want to support your learning. And if there's any books that you feel have been integral to your growth, your understanding on your spiritual path, by all means, let us know. We would love to know about it. Meanwhile, once again, please like and subscribe, share with your friends. We really would love to have you join us, continue to join us on our journey as we share our own spiritual development, our own practices, and our perspective on what is going on planet Earth these days and in the universe as well. We really hope that you continue to join us, like, subscribe, share, come back, and give us your suggestions, your thoughts. We hope to see you again very, very soon. Thank you so much for joining me today. Star Family Wisdom is always happy to see you.